Okay, let me tell you a little story about being on RuPaul's Drag Race. When you're in there, you're in a bubble. You don't have your phone, you don't have internet, and I didn't have my long list of boyfriends, you know? So I was, oh my God, I was like a dog in heat.
Listen, I'm so sad that we're having this conversation, but I'm also
Oh
happy about having this
no.
conversation because it's nice to speak to you. But how are you feeling now that you've got to watch the episode back last night?
You know what? It's always going to be bittersweet watching your elimination, especially in front of people in the bar, but for viewing party. But actually, you build up so much in your head in the coming months before it actually airs and think, oh my God, I was such a flop, all of this, all of that. But I looked sickening on the runway. I got to be a part of the iconic Drag Race UK staple challenge, which is girl groups. I've got a girl group song out available now, Dracula's Child, Dead or Alive, available now to stream on all streaming platforms. So let's get that in there. So you know what? I can't be any less than proud and blessed and grateful. Like I'm so grateful for this opportunity and I don't take it lightly.
Mm.
Nothing was promised to me by auditioning for the show. So for me to get on the show was already a win for me. To be able to represent myself, being Asian and being Filipino as well, and just being super authentic. Um, well, it was great. Like to last even 4 episodes was magical.
Well, look, you're on the circuit with the Queens, Kings, drag artists. To have a spot on this show, like you said, is no joke, even if it was as a
Yeah.
guest appearance for 1 minute. Like, it's still
Mhm.
iconic. You said you're at a bar last night. Firstly, which bar? And secondly, what was the fan reaction like watching the elimination in front of everyone?
So I was at Kubar in London. Shout out
My
Kubar.
favorite venue. I love Cuba.
Yes, it was
Yes.
great. I was like, oh my God. Like I was holding Kiki's hand actually. I was with Kiki Snatch last night at Cuba. I was just like she was just squeezing my hand so tight and just reminding me how much the fans love me, how much she loves me. And it was like it made it a lot easier actually being with like one of my sisters. But also like I fought for my life on that lip sync still. I still feel like I fought for my life and I feel like me and Lil brought a show. So I stand by it. That was my best runway look of the season so far. So you know what? Yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy. Also, yeah, I'm sad, but also, there's things that I'm looking forward to.
Girl, are you on my Google Doc? Because you literally just read out word for word one of the questions I was going to ask you. I'm going to read it to you because you verbatim just said it. I have written,
Uh-huh.
I could see you fighting for your life in that lip sync. And you
Oh,
such a good show. And I could see sometimes in lip syncs, you can see that someone is kind of really upset and really feeling it. And I felt like you two, even though you were obviously, it's always going to be upsetting to be in the bottom, but I think you both had so much love for each other and you were being so respectful of each other's space and you could just feel the love like through the TV, which I know is a bit cringe. But
yeah.
what do you remember about having to lip sync against Lil? Because from what I understand, you're both quite good friends, right? So it's a tough.
Yeah, we're Manchester sisters, but also like it was so emotional. Like it was so emotional for me on one sense because I was, as I said on the episode, I was getting frustrated at myself that what I wanted to show wasn't coming across. And for Lil, she didn't want to disappoint her group. So it was always going to be emotional. And then to add in the fact that we're both Manchester sisters, like, it's always going to be hard. But she actually before the lip sync held my hands and was like, this isn't even a thing, Zahira. Like, let's just kill it." And we did. And I'm so proud of her. And I'm excited to watch her for the rest of the season. And I'm rooting for all the girls who are, in the rest of the season as well.
Right, let's work back through this episode because something that I
Yeah.
really felt at the beginning of the episode, I could see that you felt really, really positive. I think you were ready for a win at this point. You were due one as well, which maybe on
Yes.
Stars or versus the World, we'll get that, but we'll see. But what do you just think went wrong?
First of all, I come into every challenge wanting to win because I think you don't want to, and you don't enter the competition, wanting any less than that, really. So I wanted to win this one specifically because I felt like I needed my redemption, especially from the weeks prior when I was in the bottom three. Unfortunately, I didn't get that. But it's such a star-studded cast and it's such a strong cast that somebody had to be in the bottom, and unfortunately, it had to be me. Could I have hit my verse a little bit harder? Yeah. But as a group, if you look back at all of like the group choreo going forward, apart from that crunchy lift at the beginning, we served it. We served it. That was a crunchy ass lift, but also that wasn't to my fault. That wasn't to my fault. But maybe also, yeah, after that, I was like a little bit stunted. But after that, I was like, just smash every move, facial expressions, auntie, every beat, hit it. And I was like, yeah, I think I did that. So well done to our group. And yeah, you can stream Dracula's Child now.
That
Go.
lift, I had to rewind, girl, because it took. At first, I was like, was that deliberate? And I was like, was this like, you know what I mean? I just had it took me a second because I didn't watch it live. I watched it recording.
Oh,
And I rewound and I was like, I'm not so sure that that.
well, Connor, let me tell you something. We filmed the girl group twice, and we had a good take. And of course, I was in the bottom, so they had to take the crunchy take. So we did do the lift well once successfully. And also, what I felt like wasn't shown was my dip. Because you know, in rehearsal, I did a dip, right? And like
Yes,
everybody thought
yes.
I died,
That tip was heard around the world.
and everybody thought I was the second injured Filipino queen of the season. But yeah, when Marmalade said, Slayer, I don't even know her. And I did that dip, mama, and I landed it, and it was sickening. But obviously, that wasn't shown on the tele. But hey, you get to watch us perform that all over the UK, hopefully, very, very soon.
Something that I said to Dita last week, which I think does apply to you, is this season, like you just said, has got such a stacked cast. A lot of the people on this season as well were really well known on the scene anyway, aside from just even getting onto the show. And I kind of feel like what we've been seeing so far is the people in the bottom aren't in the bottom because they did, a really bad job or anything. It's just because this is the format of the show and someone has to be in the bottom. How do you feel about your placement and the critiques you received this episode?
You know, you come into a competition like this, and drag is a sport, and I'd like to think that I am a sport with very sportsmanship conduct and behavior. So for myself, like I can't say, oh, this person should have been in the bottom instead of me. That person was worse than the challenge than me. I'm not here to do that. I showed what I showed, and the judges felt that I could have elevated myself a little bit more because they see it in me, they see it in me, and they see that I am capable to do so. It's just that I fell short that week. So I'm not going to hold it against anyone for not being in the bottom because at the end of the day, it's not them choosing who's in the bottom. Like that's the judge's job. And I've got to respect that. And I also entered the competition knowing I was going to be judged and I was going to be critiqued. And at the end of the day, only one person can win.
100%. Unless it's an All Stars 4 and there's a tie, who knows? But
Right, right,
but
right,
that
right.
said, something I thought that hopefully made you feel a little bit better is you got eliminated looking amazing. Okay. And not everyone gets to say that. Some people do be going home looking a bit. Oh. Um, I heard you made this look yourself. Is that true?
Yes, that's correct. So, how it came about was obviously, as I said on the episode, my dad like loves Japanese culture, so I wanted to pay homage to that. Looked at Valentino and Moschino runways. My friend Alexa designed the look. My trans best friend Alexa designed the look. I created the look from scratch. Sometimes when you're prepping for the show, you get let down by designers. So it was meant to be made by another designer who was just, yeah, it fell through anyway. So I had to whip it up, get the fabrics, get the flowers, you know what? Let's go. Made the hair myself, made a lot of the hair myself during the competition. So yeah,
Did
super proud, super proud. I think it's my best runway today.
It's definitely my favorite of the four we've seen. It's definitely by far my favorite. And
Thank
Can I
you.
ask, did it make it easier for you to get to sort of go home in something that you just felt like, I know I look gorgeous in this. This isn't a reflection on me as a drag artist. This is just kind of how the cards fell this week.
In a way, you know what? I still felt fierce. Like because I came out, I went out in such a gorgeous, gorgeous look. That I still felt fierce. I'm so fierce it hurts.
It did hurt. No, but one of the critiques that I think kind of came up across the board for you from the judges was that they felt you were maybe in your head a little bit during the performance, and they could kind of see, I think the words they used was like the cogs turning.
Hmm.
Did you feel that way when you were actually performing? Did you feel like you were constantly kind of, oh, right, got to remember to do that next, got to remember to do, you know what I mean?
No, not during whilst I was performing because I was in it to win it. Even with that crunchy lift, I was like, okay, pick yourself back up and do it. Like I was dance moms in my head. Like I was like, oh my God, like just do it. Um, it was when Rue called us to step forward, and then Rue was like, okay, tops and bottoms, and I was like, okay, they're gonna put me in the bottom again. They're gonna put me in the bottom again. And that's when I started to get in my head because I'm like, okay, because it run down the list and then Kiki got amazing critiques, Relisa got amazing critiques. I looked down the lineup and I was like, yeah, I'm in the bottom.
Mm, mm,
Yeah. I got frustrated, of course, because it was 3 weeks in a row at that point. And I'm like, I'm so much fiercer than what I was than my showing on the show. And I'm so much fiercer now leaving it and using those critiques um that was given to me. And I definitely want to use those critiques going forward to elevate myself. And I hope that's also shown since even the announcement,
mm.
from my premiere to my attitude awards, like all of these things that like I've shown up for. And in terms of performance as well, like I feel like I've elevated in the way that I've performed,
Mm.
and finessed it and fine-tuned it. So yeah, just more growth really.
Well, I think, a lot of the most successful people to come off of the franchise actually didn't even do well on the season. And just to be clear, that's not to say you didn't do well. I think your point is that you just didn't make it as far as you wanted to. You know what I mean?
Of
But
course. Of course.
ultimately, when you look at people like Trixie Mattel, for example, who's one of the most successful ever,
Oh,
like
she was in episode four Queen Out, season 7.
exactly, exactly. So there you go, and I think that's what's really great about Drag Race is as much as it can sometimes feel a bit like maybe something you showed wasn't what you is really representative of you, it actually
Mhm.
doesn't define you. I think what hopefully you find is that it's going to give you a bit more of a platform to now excel.
Mhm.
That makes sense.
Absolutely. So
But
many episode 4 queens who are like fan favorites who have done so well, you know?
Zahira, we've got to talk about something now.
Come on, let's do it. Oh, I'm scared.
Girl, what you said in front of Miss Alexandra Burke. Wh- Why? Why would you say such a thing in front of the nation of
Okay.
sweetheart?
Okay, let me tell you a little story about being on RuPaul's Drag Race. When you're in there, you're in a bubble. You don't have your phone, you don't have internet, and I didn't have my long list of boyfriends, you know? So oh my God, I was like a dog in heat. Like, you're stuck in there for such a long time and you're filming long hours. And like, I was missing my boyfriends, plural, you know? So I it just came out from my body. And that came out, and I was like, oh my God, what have I just said? But it was a bonding moment for me and Alexandra. I feel like we really connected at that very moment. And on that note, whatever I said on the ad lib section of that episode, official merch is available now. So get your click clack fans that say available now online.
Period. We love to see the branding. On a more
Period.
serious note, something that I think's been really beautiful about this season and the franchise in general, but is we've been seeing a lot of like really meaningful discussions between the cast and you and Saki earlier, I think it was in episode 1 or 2, had like a really beautiful discussion about Asian representation. What was it like for you to get to watch that discussion air on something as major as the BBC? But also,
Yeah.
what was it like for you to be part of that positive representation? Because there's going to be people out there who watched and felt the way you were both feeling, who now feel
Mhm.
better for seeing that.
Oh, for sure. I think it's also a learning tool for people who are watching to be able to differentiate your queens of color. And I feel so grateful to be a part of this season specifically because it's seasoning 6. It's the most diverse cast that the BBC and Drag Race UK have ever had. And that's so important to be able to tell these stories, to be able to tell our stories, because there are so many POC British people, queer people watching this show who can now look back. I can think that I want to think that there's a little Zahira, watching our show and thinking, well, I can be like Zahira. I can do that. Little Saki's little releases, little Kiki snatchers out there who see themselves in us and think, you know what, I can blossom like they do. So yeah, I thought it was really important, and the show captured that beautifully.
I loved it. I think it's really important to have these, and Drag Race UK is one of the few shows in the UK that really does nail it. And I'm really glad that you got to be a part of that because I think it's a really important message to get out there, especially to allies and people who aren't as understanding of these things. Right, before we wrap up, let's do some very quick fire questions. Are you ready?
Let's do it. Let's do it, baby.
So obviously there's a lot we didn't get to see from you this season, some of which were
Uh,
runways. What 3 words would you use to describe your runways that we didn't get to see?
oh my God, animalistic. Beautiful. And what's another word? What's another word? I'm thinking of a runway. Elegant.
Period.
That's very different, huh? Like elegant and animalistic.
Well,
We'll
I guess
see.
we'll be on the Instagram refreshing next week to
Yeah.
see what the looks are. But
Uh-huh.
can you reveal who you would have played for Snatch Game?
Yes, I was gonna play Jim Carrey as the Grinch. Yes, yes. Connor, Merry Christmas. You're a mean one,
Oh,
Connor.
that makes me so sad because Dita was going to do the Wretched Tooth Fairy, and I feel like you two would have had so much fun doing these like crazy
Oh
characters.
my God. We would have had like such a back and forth moment, huh?
What was your favorite challenge?
My favorite challenge, probably girl groups, because now we can utilize that and be able to promote it and tour with it.
It's your UK hum moment. Run with it. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. Let's do it. Let's do it. You know what? I'll capitalize on being a bottom.
Someone's got to do it.
Exactly.
I was about to say something, but let me keep this PG. Okay, what was your favorite look that you've got to show so far?
Definitely call me Mother Nature because the cherry blossoms were blossoming.
What's on the cards for Sahara going forward?
Tour announcement coming very soon. Maybe I get to do a homecoming in the Philippines. Maybe. There's gonna be more music coming out, so maybe featuring some of your favorites from season 6. Who knows? You'll have to see and find out. Yeah, absolutely. I'm so excited to see my elevation and for you all to see that. So even though I'm eliminated, watch the elevation and the blossoming and the emancipation of Zahirah Zapanta.
I want to see you as a guest judge on Drag Race Philippines.
Oh my God. No, that's a dream. That's one of my bucket lists, actually. That's one of my so I'm talking to Auntie Jiggly and like if I gotta make coffees or mop the floors or anything, I'll do anything.
I'll be the intern on set real quick.
Yeah,
But listen, thank you so much for taking the time to speak to me again. I'm so sad it's so soon, but congratulations on being part of such an amazing season and an amazing showcase.
absolutely. Don't be sad that I got eliminated. Be happy that I was there.
It will all be okay in the end, and if it's not okay, it's not the end, period.